All right. Everything's going now. That's awesome. Um, yeah, as y'all know, I'm going to do the official start of the podcast shortly, but just want to say I'm excited to be here with Cadwell Turnbull and talk about his new book. See, I messed myself up already. I told you about all my fears, and usually the fears just
Oh,
get
ruin,
in there.
ruin, great and free.
Ruin, great, and free. It's so beautiful, and
Thank you, thank you.
it's yeah. The camera's not high enough, but I've got your first book up there. Um, but yes, hello to Kids Are Asleep is here, Underpope is here, and Poe, which I've agreed to just call Poe because your name's really confusing. Just for me, you know. Greetings from the whole 16,000 words underneath NaNoPAR. Nice! I probably will be asking about NaNoWriMo as well. Even if you have no opinion, it's always interesting to hear what other pro writers are up to with that. And with the great ship NaNoWriMo crashing and burning is also fun. It's all fun. Before I get started, I know there's not a ton of people here, but last week I did advertise that Nia Davenport was going to be on the show, and then as you guys saw, I had a rather awkward show by myself because I wasn't prepared, and I never try to put down anybody who that happens to because I know there can be all sorts of issues and technical difficulties and stuff. But this was actually a death in her family, and I think it happened on Thursday because we had talked that we had like said everything with the publicist that morning, and so yeah, if you're a fan of Nia Davenport, go search. You probably search for her GoFundMe, because she's got 4 kids and was rather struck unaware of the death of her husband. So it's heartbreaking, and all the love to her family. And I'm sorry, Cadwell. I did warn him that I was gonna open with the little bit dark point, but and we'll get started shortly.
No, it's my condolences.
Yeah. Okay. I promoted this on the Patreon stuff, and I'm wondering how many people actually came here from that. But, oh well. All right. I guess we'll get started. This is I Should Be Writing Season 21, Episode 22. Hi there. Welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers and established fiction writers and anybody else who does creative stuff who wants, a kind of encouragement boost. My name is Merle Lafferty. I've been podcasting for 21 years next month. Yeah, I guess so. 21 years next month, and then I've been a pro writer since 2013. So that's my credentials. So try to when you listen to people give advice online, make sure that they at least have done a little bit of the things they're advising you to do. And what I've been up to is I've been working on my epistolary found footage type game that nobody wants, that I still hyper focused on and had a lot of fun and finished the prototype this past weekend. So I've got a couple of packages going out to some testers to see if it's worth any amusement or at all. But this is my long discussed Red Shirts meets Hallmark Christmas channel, Hallmark Christmas movies project. I decided to do it like in physical epistolary way and had a lot of fun. So at least I can have
It
that.
does sound like a lot of fun.
Thank
The
you. Thank you.
epistolary part sounds really cool, actually.
Thank you. I basically, my theory was that the guys are never like abusive or like the ex-boyfriends that they leave for the lumberjack. They're never like abusive. They're often neglectful or maybe rude sometimes, but sometimes their comeuppance is much worse than you'd think they would deserve. Like one guy is like pushed outside in his underwear, and the main character steals his car so she can run down her true love. And I'm thinking, he is a jerk, but that's Grand Theft Auto. And so my brain went on from there just to talk about those guys and where they ended up. So that was That's my fun thing. Finally got it out of my head. I think that's what feels the best, you know. But I am delighted to have Cadwell Turnbull on the show today to talk about his new book, Ruin Great. I did it. Ruin Great and Free. It's a beautiful title, and my brain just turns it off. Wow, I'm so sorry. A Ruin Great and Free, which came out, I think, 2 months ago.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, September.
Yeah,
Yeah, a few
yeah.
months ago.
Regardless, when you're listening to this, it's on the shelves, so you should go get it. So, welcome to the show, Cadwell.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I remember reading your first book, and I don't know if I met you in Durham for that book or one of your other books, but I remember around the same time reading the lesson and then seeing you at on one of your book tours, and that was really cool. Um, so you have, yeah, tell us about tell us about A Ruin Great and Free. I'm very sorry. I also had some medication that I probably shouldn't have had this morning, so I am just hitting on all cylinders. Sorry. Tell
No,
us about the
you're
book.
all good.
Thank you.
I don't know. I was watching one of your podcasts, and am I correct that you also have ADHD?
Oh, a little bit. That's
Is
actually
that
what
true?
I did. I
Okay.
took two of my ADHD meds. So then
Okay.
I
Okay.
had to message my doctor and say, I'm feeling fine, but the internet said I could die, so just letting you know this is happening. And so, yeah, I'm very sorry.
I think I know that that symptom or that side effect.
Yeah.
Also ADHD, so no worries. It's real.
Yeah,
I
it
totally
is.
I totally understand.
Thank you.
Um, well, I mean, Ruin Gray and Free is the third book in a trilogy
Mm-hmm.
that's finally done. And and now when I talk about it, because it's so hard to talk about, that's book one, No
Yes,
Gods, No
yes.
Monsters. The second book is We Are the Crisis. It's right over here. And then the third book is A Ruin Gray and Free. And as I've written these books and these books have come out, they've become increasingly hard or difficult to talk about. And so now I tell people, like my pitch, my quick pitch, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets The Wire.
Mm.
And so like all of the fantasy world building elements of Buffy ish, and then like the community oriented politics, many POV, structural, stuff of The Wire. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's monsters from popular culture and folklore that have come out of the shadows. They have revealed themselves to the world, and the series kind of explores the aftermath of that, or how that plays out over the course of several years, right? So the initial reveal and the backlash to that, um, the human supremacist groups that come out of that,
Yeah.
the monsters, you know, trying different ways to coexist with humanity. Um, and then it also does some interesting stuff where it like dovetails with solidarity economics, because the monsters use that to kind of build um, economic safety, but also just like physical safety for themselves. And so yeah, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but that's the
Yeah.
main crux of it, right? It's monsters trying to find a place in the world now that the world knows that they are real and that they exist.
Well, I don't think I've ever heard the word solidarity economics before, but it kind of makes sense in my head. Is this something that you naturally know about because of your history, or did you look it up and learn about economics? I feel like economics is a weak point in a lot of my books because I'll throw in aliens or monsters or something, and I'll be like, nah, I'm just gonna hand wave it because it's just not something I've ever been terribly interested in myself, and so, but I really like it when other people manage to research it and tell it in a entertaining way.
Right. I think so. Okay, to answer the first question, I didn't know about it, but because we're speculative writers, I imagined it first. So like I was thinking about like a small community, like a small public housing community. I was like, what would it be like if that housing community got together and pooled resources and expertise and skills and created like cooperative businesses together. At the time, I didn't know that co-ops were a thing,
Mm.
or cooperative, or how to define that. Solidarity economics came years later, but I just had this idea. I was just like, okay, well, uh, I would like to write something about a community like that, speculatively. And then I just had the inclination to kind of like, does something like that exist somewhere? And so I just, Googled it to start, and then, co-op stuff start popping up, and I got very interested in it from there. I joined um uh, like a solidarity economics collective, right? So it was a organization, nonprofit, that focused on co-ops. Many of the people in that organization are have been or are a part of a co-op of some kind, even either a housing co-op or a worker co-op or something. And so I learned a lot from just being a part of that organization, and it actually inspired the Send Collective in the series.
Oh, cool.
And so yeah, it was something that started as like a curiosity. I was trying to build something. I did some research, and then I kind of fell into this, I think years long rabbit hole of
Wow.
interest in it, and how it works, and and how do you make them, and all of that sort of stuff.
Okay. That's very cool. Um, so you are what kind of Caribbean influences did you bring to your world building?
Well, I mean, so some of them, what's interesting, right, is that some things in the books are things that I am not entirely sure where they came from, but there were things that I interacted with. So like my aunt told me a story of like a werewolf attacking a family during a hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
And that became like the woo woo, which is like the sometimes they're called the were dog of the Antilles. They're like they're not werewolves, but they're like shifters that turn into the African wild dog.
Mm.
And they are influenced, or their power is derived from hurricanes instead of the moon. So
Oh,
if
wow.
they're in a hurricane, they get super like dense and strong. Um, and so that was uh, partly made up, partly a like a scary story my aunt told me when I was a kid. There's another monster called the Sukuyant, or Sukunya is how we say it in the Virgin Islands, and that is like a common Caribbean folklore monster. It shows up all over the Caribbean, and they have different names, but it's mostly um is often a woman, but like it's like a vampire selkie like creature, someone that can remove her skin and can suck blood.
Okay. I want to go back to the hurricanes. That's just fascinating because I'm in North Carolina, so not quite as much as like Jamaica and the Virgin Islands and Bermuda and Florida, but we've gotten our fair share of wallops of hurricanes. Is it, considering that hurricane season is not the whole year, and it's, you're never guaranteed to have one at all, or the one that hits you, is it is the transformations on a level that's a lot more than just, oh, it's another full moon, here's a werewolf, and it's like the power of the hurricane? Is that like, how does that affect, or rather, if you are one of these people and you don't get a hurricane all season, do you react to the ones that are in the ocean, or
Hmm.
how does that work?
This is a very good question, actually. So there's shifters, and all the shifters in the series can shift whenever they want.
Mm.
Like werewolves aren't necessarily like they're not like the full moon isn't the only time that they can shift into wolves or whatever. But there is this, and it's explored mostly with the woo or the African, the were dog of the Antilles. Um, they just get more powerful when hurricanes are near. So the nearer the hurricane, like let's say a hurricane is overhead,
Oh yeah.
they become super OP. Is the word
Mm-hmm.
that I would use, right? They're very dangerous during a hurricane. normally they are still dangerous, but it's just not the same level.
Sure. I love the power from the storm. That's really cool. Before I get into the whole trilogy, I did want to ask about the lesson. I was reading some stuff on Reddit, and they were saying that they were implying that the lesson was connected, and I wasn't sure about that because that's a standalone. That was your first book, right?
Yes, it was.
I-
Yes, it
Is
was
it is it
completely.
connected in any way? I couldn't quite follow the thread that I was reading, so I wasn't sure.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Is that
It
all you
is.
can
It is
say?
connected.
Okay.
Yeah, it's connected in the sense that like I mean, I could get I'm trying to decide how nerdy to get about this. So like
We love nerdy.
it's there are crossover characters. So I'll say that. So like it's explicitly connected.
Okay.
However, because so one of my favorite authors currently is Emily St. John Mandel.
Yes.
Um and what she does and it's throughout all of her books you can see it is that there's like a very subtle literary multiverse that she's building. So there's characters that show up in different iterations, in different versions of Earth for the different stories that she's telling.
Okay.
It's not like it's not loud and it's not important. It's just happening in the background, right?
Sure.
So you'll have a character with a particular name, and now I'm actually spacing on like a good example. But there's a character in Station 11 that shows up before Station 11, and I think after. But it's different versions of her. And um, what I like about that, what I think is really interesting about that, it's a different approach to building a multiverse than let's say Marvel, where the focus is necessarily on. Um, I mean, she is focused on a set of characters, but I think what she's more interested in is like the differences between these different Earths. And some of them are quite literary, and some of them are a little bit speculative, and some of them are very speculative. I think that's also really cool. I'm doing that, or I've been doing that since the beginning. So the lesson, even though I knew the lesson was going to be a standalone, I also knew the lesson had characters that had longer stories than the book itself. I just had a natural ending for that book, and I ended it there. And then some of those characters and their storylines, or their story, or their character arcs extend into or cross over with. I think is the best way to say it. Crossover with the Convergence Saga.
I'm sorry. The lesson was your first book. How did you make that decision? That's like a really sophisticated decision to make about all of your work going forward. And you did that in your first book.
I mean, the shortest answer to that is probably ADHD.
Ah.
I like my brain is like a connection engine or something, right? So like I'll start working on something and immediately without me even trying to, I'm like, how does this connect thematically to something else? Or how, like and then like I'll have an idea. And once I have an idea, I start like forming the bridges between those two things. And so like at some point, and I don't remember when, I just knew that one character was also another character in another thing, but that was just a different part of her life, right? So like she's had this very long life, and the lesson covers like one part of it, one sliver of it, and then she shows up in a different, like she shows up in a very different way in the Convergence Saga, and then it takes a while for you to know that these characters are the same character. That's kind of how my brain works. I just know that these two things are true, and then I think about the connections between them. How a character here gets to here. I also say that the lesson, even though um, it was my first book, I was working on things. Like Cal, who is the narrator of No Gods, No Monsters, pre-existed the lesson. And so like there's just also this thing that I do where I just bring things into other things. And yeah, yeah, that's the answer. There's just always that background cooking, and it took me a while to actually get things published, but I was building that since I started writing both short and long things.
That's amazing. I think the lesson here for all of you listening is, don't think your ideas are too big if you're just starting out. Do them. Why the heck not? Because it could end up as awesome as what you've created. So
It
this
just get me in
actually,
trouble sometimes. I'll just say that. I'll just say sometimes it might be best to let things, stay by themselves. But I don't know if I've completely learned that lesson.
well, yeah, it does sound rife with pitfalls, but if you can pull it off, it sounds amazing. So going on that same line of thinking, I was going to ask you if you do characters, conflict, or setting first, or plot, I guess. But conflict and plot are kind of together. But how do you start your thinking?
Very good question. Yeah, and because of my previous answer, I feel like I have two different answers to that. So like I said, some characters pre-exist the project. So I didn't necessarily when Cal came into existence, the narrator of the series, I didn't necessarily know that I was going to work on a Convergence saga. Like he pre-exists the whole project, right? And then there's another character that pre-exists the whole. There's actually like several characters that pre-exist the project. But when I'm thinking about the project itself, if we're like narrowing the definition to like working on the books themselves, it is the concept first. It's like it's very high concept that like the topmost, like what do I want? And often because I love TV and film and this kind of stuff, I tend to think in like a tvtropes.com kind of way,
Mm.
where it's like I'm like I want to do a space opera with mecha in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think about things in mashups or combinations or genres or subgenres. And so I start with the genre, and then I start building from there. Like what are the things of the genre that I like? And then I start like shopping. I just start grabbing things. And then from there I start anchoring it in reality. That's the next thing. It's like I would say like thematic concerns, like what is this thing going to be about.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's when it stops being just fun and starts getting a little serious, is when I start thinking about like what do like with the Convergence saga, it's about monsters, and I was like, what does monsters mean to me, and like
Mm-hmm.
what do I want to explore with monsters, and what do I want to do in conversation with what other people have been doing. And so like with the Convergence saga, it became very important to like think about intersectional or intersectionality in relation to monstrosity. So like what is it like to be like a black man who's also a werewolf, or what
Mm-hmm.
is it like to be like a queer kid that's a shifter, like and so having those bigger questions helps me to start thinking about character. I start The characters kind of show up from those larger questions, and then they at first they start out as like stand-ins for those bigger questions, and then they get very very specific, and they become their own people. So it's like high level, then mid level, and then I come down to the human level.
Interesting. So this is the end of a trilogy, and that's always kind of a. There's so many questions I have. I've done a 3-book series, but not like a full trilogy with arcs and stuff. And so, first, how do you feel now that it's done and out?
Super relieved.
Oh, really?
Super super relieved. Yeah, I just didn't I don't think it's gonna get me in trouble to admit this. I didn't know I would be able to pull it off. Like I wanted to. Like I wanted to get to the end and do it well, but I was like, we'll see when I get there, I guess. Every book was kind of like a let me just focus on what's in front of me and get that. And so I just feel super relieved that I was able to get to the end. I know that for some writers, like series defeat them, right? Like it's not easy to do. Um, there's a million ways you can kind of get caught up or write yourself into a hole, or just
Mm-hmm.
it becomes too big for you to, it just becomes a thing too big for you,
Yeah.
right? And so once I submitted that final manuscript, I was like, oh my gosh, I managed it. And you know, since people have started picking it up, I'm like, oh, okay, they don't hate it, or they don't hate it yet. And so I'm like, okay, this is, I guess it worked out, right? Like the first thing was finishing it. The second thing was like, are people gonna actually like this and think that it's as cool as I think it is? Like some of the bigger cosmological concerns show up in the third book, and I was like, are people gonna vibe with this too?
Mm-hmm.
And so far, they either they either vibe with it or they don't mind. They're like, what is that? What is this stuff over there? Okay, I that's fine. I like this other stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, mostly relief.
Um, what's next for you? Are you doing another book in the world? Are you doing another trilogy? Can you say? Do you not know?
I mean, I think I can say some things vaguely. I'm maybe a little bit superstitious because I'm working on a pitch, and I it's a horror novel. Um, it's a single POV horror novel that I've never done before. I would say it's very like it's addressing very modern concerns.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what's gonna happen with it yet. I'm kind of like putting a pitch together. I sent a draft of the pitch to my agent, got some feedback, and now I'm letting it cook, letting it stew a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'm gonna approach it again. And so there's that, but who knows what's gonna happen with that? There's another project that I'm less superstitious about because my agent did not like it.
Oh no.
um,
Oh no.
it's fine. It's a so I was thinking about it's a afterlife road trip love story.
I love it. Count me in.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, well, I have to get someone interested in it first.
Yeah.
But or I have to write it. But I think that if I do, I'm gonna work on it. It's gonna be like a years long process. It just has a lot of stuff I want to do with it. But it's it's a on and off again relationship between two people that met and dated in high school, and then they end up meeting each other in the afterlife. And the afterlife is you wake up in your death year, right? The next day after you've died, in a year that's on loop. And everyone that's in that world, that mirror world to our world, is people that died in that year. And the rest of the world is kind of haunted by all of the things that happened that year. So like the cars drive on the highway, planes take off in the order that they take off, food shows up in restaurants in the same thing, concerts, all of this stuff, all of the stuff of the real world is on repeat, but
Until
there's
what?
no
Or is it
for
repeat
just
forever?
forever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's just the dead people of that year living in that like sliver of time together and doing stuff, whatever they do, becoming unhinged, watching
Yeah.
a lot of TV. And so like it's kind of like a pop culture book. It's about a character named Trevor and all the things he's reading and watching and listening to as things change and don't change in the afterlife.
It's a very Twilight Zone uh feel to it. I really like that. I hope you do get it, sell it. I've been trying to, you know, when I found out that one of my stories didn't sell, that just made me want to write it more. So I don't know if I'm just a glutton for punishment or what, or just want to prove them wrong or whatever. But
I feel the same way actually.
yeah,
And I'm also like, if it doesn't work out as a book, I could do a web series. You know,
mm-hmm.
like there's potential for it that I think that isn't necessarily um, the obvious route, and I
Yeah,
care about it enough that I could do that. So yeah.
yeah. We've got so many options right now. Um, I've heard that there's an ad, so we're gonna take a small break and then we'll be back shortly. I just don't like to keep going when some of the people can't watch.
Mhm.
Thank you, Valerie, for letting us know when the ads are here and when they're gone. So yeah, I've gotta ask one thing. Clearly, you're as a writer, you started out very, very cerebral and sophisticated, but how did it make you feel when your debut book was compared to Octavia Butler? Because
How did it make me feel?
yeah, I mean, was it like amazing? Was it like terrifying? Was it, you know, was it just like best feeling ever? Or
It
is it a bad question? I could
no, no,
not
no, no,
ask
no.
it and
It's
cut
not
it
a
out of
bad
the.
question.
Okay.
It's not a bad question. It's just hard to answer. Okay, so yes, yes to all of those things actually. So I when I was working on the lesson before, I mean, I had read some things from Octavia Butler,
Mm-hmm.
and I was already a fan. But like I would say, I mean, it's just the truth. I was more of a Le Guin stan at that point than
Mm.
than Butler. Like I had read some Butler. I was like, Butler's great, but I want to read everything he's writing.
Yeah.
And then my mentor. It was during the MFA, and I was working on the book. I didn't think it was a book yet. I didn't know what it was yet. And my mentor John Kessel, um, was a science fiction
You went to state?
writer. Yeah, I went to North Carolina State University.
I don't know how we missed each other. I'm kind of bummed. I'm sorry. I just sorry to interrupt. I'm like, oh, I was going to ask where you went to your MFA. Oh, Kessel. Okay, you went down the street from me. Anyway,
Yeah,
so you talked to John Kessel.
yeah. And John Kessel was like, "Have you read some Butler?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah." And but he was like, and at that point, I'd read only mostly short story stuff. And he was like, "You should read Lilith's Brood or the Xenogenesis trilogy. You should just read it because you're doing similar things in this project that you're working on." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll read it." And I read it, and it was both amazing. Right, that trilogy is still one of my favorite trilogies. But also mortifying because she was doing a lot of stuff that I was doing, but she was doing it like the way Butler does things, which is
Mm-hmm.
excellent. So like I was like, oh no. And Kessel was like, it's okay. You don't have to like, because I was actually thinking about just stopping. and
Oh
and Kessel was just like, no, what you're doing is different. And the thing that you could do is just pay homage to Butler, right? Just bring her into the story in some way. So I have a character um that is named after Butler.
no. Oh, nice.
And yeah, and it was just kind of like, well, I'm writing this thing, and we just had the same instincts on a lot of things. And I mean, hers is very different, like, and mine is like, I would say like more in that like middle literary speculative space. I don't know how else to put it. Um, and and so yeah, I just leaned into it. And then, once the book came out, I kind of expected that to happen. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, I kind of expected it to for some people to be like, yeah, this reminds me of this Genesis trilogy, or you're doing things that, you're interested in things that Butler's interested in, and that sort of thing. Um, and I consider it a compliment, though I think that, it's just real. Butler's just really incredible at what she was doing,
Yeah.
right? And so like I'm like appreciate that, but Butler's Butler basically.
Yeah.
And so like the more I kind of distance myself from like thinking that it needs to like hold up to anything, the better I feel about it, right?
Yeah.
I consider it a compliment.
Good. Good. I mean, from what I read, no one said anything like stealing from or pastiche or anything like that. Said about it in a complimentary way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mostly, yeah. I did. There was one, and I should warn new writers who are publishing their debuts. Don't read Goodreads reviews,
Oh God,
even
no,
yeah,
no,
even though
never.
I have. So I did.
Oh
I
no.
did read a Goodreads review. It was just like this is like um I can't remember the exact words. Thankfully, I think I kind of like blacked out of
Good.
trauma or something. but like it was basically like this is very much like this book, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, totally accidental, but yeah, that did
Yeah.
happen.
So we're for the podcast. We are going to end the interview here, and if you would like to continue hearing Cadwell and I talk, then you can go to patreon.com/mightymur and get all of the episodes early and extended and ad free. So check that out. Let's see. So wait, I would talk about your titles because they are very they really catch the eye and they feel very lyrical, I guess maybe is the word I'm looking for. It's no gods, no monsters. It's did you come up with this? Did marketing help you come up with this? Did marketing tell you to go over there and they'll come up with the title? Because I've had that happen. So,
Uh, it's kind of hard to remember why things started, but No Gods, No Monsters, I think came pretty early on. I mean, they're all titles that I suggested.
okay.
No Gods, No Monsters came pretty early on because it was I definitely was playing with like some like anarchist themes, like self-governance, self-ownership, right? Like so like I think of anarchism not necessarily like I think that some people define anarchism as like the absence of something,
Yeah.
and I think of anarchism as like the presence of something, right? Like it's very explicit. And so in my mind, cooperativism is like anarchism in practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's the idea that you could co-own and co-govern a business democratically or consensus based is a very anarchist idea. Like it's like anarcho-syndicalism, right? And so um I knew that the titles of the books would be political slogans or anarchist slogans, right? So the
Okay.
first two are anarchist slogans. So no gods, no masters became no gods, no monsters. And the second one, we had a crisis, is just another anarchist slogan, just taken.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great slogan and a
Mm-hmm.
great title. A Ruin Great and Free is um, it's a political slogan. I think the slogan was one great and free. I think it's actually, gosh, I actually wish I think it actually was like a Spanish slogan, and it was totalitarian in nature,
Okay.
right? But the reason the thing that I'm playing with that last title is like the title itself in my mind it's supposed to feel a little bit like ominous, right? Like it's like change is happening, but it's not clean change, right?
Well, it
Like
starts out with a
it's
ruin, so yeah, it's not.
right. So it's messy, and so
Yeah.
like I wanted a title that was messy, and I wanted a title that was referencing something else to kind of like color the reading
Mm-hmm.
of it. So yeah, that's where they came from, and I think that they like them. They like the titles enough. I was mostly worried about A Ruin Great and Free. I thought that one is the one that might be um too indulgent or something. But they were like, yeah, this is great.
We have a question from the chat. Will wants to know, writing your first, writing the first book, you weren't under deadline, so you had time to really work on the story. What was it like to work on? Sorry, chat just moved. What was it like to work on deadline to the second and third book? How did your creativity shift?
Yeah, the lesson I didn't have a deadline to start, and I think that that was both good and bad. Like I feel like I just spent a lot of time working on the lesson, and different parts of it went through, I would say very significant revision. Um, but then by the end, I had acquired an agent, and the book was still not completed, and I was like, give me 8 months. So then there was like a outside or external deadline for the rest of it, and that was very helpful for me to get things finished. No Gods, No Monsters. there was a deadline, but I had like I had left a job. I was working at Amazon Alexa. I was like a grunt, and I had left the job, and I was like, I'm gonna try writing full time for a while. I ended up getting another job for a while, and then writing full time again. But that period of time was great because I had a deadline, but I also had a ton of time to work on it. And so I think deadlines are good for me. I think it's good to have some kind of external um, pressure on stuff that I'm working on.
Yeah.
However, I'm very interested in working on things now without deadlines. And I have started like publishing more short fiction again. And I've been doing that just based on where my interests are falling. And it's actually really nice to just kind of work on something until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I have like a routine, I would say like at the beginning when I was working on the lesson, I didn't have like a writing practice. Now I write every day.
I was
And
going to ask
so
your
I don't,
routine.
yeah.
So hit me with your
Yeah.
routine.
So my routine is very basic. It's I read something, sometimes related to what I'm working on, sometimes just, for craft study. I start with that. And then I write at least 250 words. Like that's my minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get to 250 words and I'm done, I'm done, right? And for me that math is really encouraging without me feeling overwhelmed by like, oh, I need to write 2,000 words a day,
Mm-hmm.
or like I know some people that write like 5 to 10,000 words a day. I don't do that. If I get there by accident, that's great. Um, but 250 words a day minimum is just great for me. It just works with my brain. And if I miss a day, I can just make it up, not by adding it on to any extra day, but like just going back to my routine. So I
Right.
do close reading and then 250 words a day minimum, and that's my writing practice. And then I spend whatever other time I have revising or outlining or working on the outline or thinking about like where things are going and that sort of thing.
Right. You mentioned that you had acquired your agent before you were completely done with the lesson. That is not the way most beginning writers do that. How did you manage to do that?
I mean, I wish I had like a trick, but I didn't. It was an accident. Like I was working on a lesson kind of on and off, but I was publishing short fiction.
Oh, okay.
And an agent had a conversation with an editor for like at one of the magazines I was published in, and the editor was like, you should check out Cadwell stuff. And then she did, and then she reached out. And at first she reached out to see if I did have like a book. And I was like, I don't have a book. She asked for more things. That my first agent was Martha Millard. Um, and she had done this was a thing. She had repped um William Gibson,
Oh,
one of her like, and she had got him early through looking at the magazines, right? She just kept
aha.
reading. So that was just her approach as an agent, right? It's a good approach, right? And I definitely benefited from it. Um, she asked me what else do I have, and so I sent her some things, and then she was like, "Do you have a book?" And I was like, "I have two-thirds of a book." And then she was like, she kind of went away for a bit. She was like, "Yeah, well, let me know when you have a book." But then she came back
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "I'd like to represent you. When could you have a book done?" I was like, I could 8 months. And it took me like maybe 9.5 months or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was good for me, I think.
Um, so on the show, we often talk about all the things that are in our own way that we put there, and almost never by conscious thought, but imposter syndrome or fear of failure, fear of success, all that. So, can you tell me a little about what you used to struggle with, and if there's anything that still you face when you deal with either the writing part or, like right now, the publicity part?
I mean, I do definitely, I have imposter syndrome for sure. And so I struggle with self promotion. I struggle with generally online presence stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it doesn't come naturally to me. I've gotten better at it as I've gone along, but like, it's one of those things that I think is very hard for me to do. I'm very like, and I think that some of this is just my personality, some of it is culture, and some of it is being coming out of an MFA. Like I'm very sober. I'm like, um, I I tend to like underplay accomplishments even to myself when they happen because I'm like, well, you don't know what's gonna happen, right? Like, like
Mm-hmm.
just keep working, like, and so I think that's good and bad. Like I think it means that I just um I also handle like rejection or discouragement or failure a little better. Like I can roll with it in the same way I roll with success. But I think it's also like bad because I think it's actually really useful to celebrate your successes and to be good to yourself in that way and to be proud of the things that you've done,
Mm-hmm.
without it being like a thing in comparison to anybody else or like a thing that like not to get a big head, but to that you appreciate the effort that you've put into something and you don't just like move the goalposts,
Yeah. I
which is
think
what
it's
I do.
the rare writer these days who can sit back and let like your editor and your agent do the publicity for you, and your books are so
Mhm.
hot that they'll just sell. So it's
Right.
the having to be out there and promote yourself. That's doing that is a necessity pretty much for everybody. So learning how to properly, without sounding like a complete jerk, you strike
Yeah.
the balance of, hey, I'm here and I wrote this cool thing. And yeah, it's not easy. I should do a class in that or something, or find someone to teach a class in that. So
It's really difficult. It's
yeah.
really, yeah.
So you mentioned you did your MFA, and Kessel was a mentor to you. I know a lot of people wonder if they have did not nobody has to, but if they should get an MFA, what did you get out of that experience that you were glad you took the time and the money to do?
Mhm. Also, the things that I got out of the experience are things that I think you could get on your own. Like, so it's not necessarily like an endorsement of, oh, you absolutely must get an MFA because they're expensive, they're time consuming, and your life might not allow you to do that,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're settled in a certain place, it just might not be the best idea for you. But the thing that I did get from my MFA is being in the presence of other people doing different work from me and reading a lot of other stuff in
Mm-hmm.
like that were different from what I was doing. And that practice of like reading things and reading things closely was the thing that I got. And like been the most valuable thing for me at the MFA that I carry forward, right? So like I read nonfiction, I read creative nonfiction, I don't read a ton of poetry, but I read poetry. I read, literary fiction. I read speculative fiction, and then I just get interested in other genres, and then I incorporate that stuff. Right? I think about visual mediums and plays and like all of these. I think about all of those things as things that could inform my own fiction, and that framing was something that I discovered during the MFA. Um, I think you could discover that on your own, right? But like, I think being in the environment, I definitely think was useful for me to start thinking about like just the craft of storytelling and how to incorporate different elements of craft from different genres to do the work that I do, right? Like, so like there's parts of the series as a whole, but in No Gods or Monsters, it's this like little short like essay on how bees ventilate their nests, right? And I'm borrowing from creative nonfiction to
Mm-hmm.
to write that, So like, um, yeah, I think being influenced by things is the thing that I learned the most from the MFA. Like being consciously influenced, not just kind of like passively influenced by
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, you say you can get that on your own, but that's like saying, why do we need NaNoWriMo? You can just go ahead and try to write 50,000 words in November, but
things. Right.
everybody got a lot out of what NaNoWriMo was trying to do. And so sometimes that little boost helps out a lot.
Community helps a ton for sure.
Yes. And it's
Yeah.
funny what you were saying, because when I look back on my MFA, one of my most memorable workshops was the one cross genre workshop that we did. So we had a
Hmm.
couple of pop fic students, but we had a little bit of everybody: creative nonfiction, literary fiction, and poetry. And just hearing different people's opinions that did not come from like a science fiction fantasy background was really interesting. What was really funny was my story, everybody liked it, and Jim Kelly's like, this is cliche and bad. James Patrick Kelly is one of the sweetest men in the world, but when it comes to workshop, he doesn't pull punches. He's like, yeah, all you guys, you don't know science fiction. This is not good. And I'm like, well, what I liked about it also was it gave me this freedom to try things. And okay, so
Yeah.
people didn't like it. So I don't have to worry about getting an actual rejection or having to decide whether to send it out or edit it more. I'm just like, okay, well, I tried this thing and some people liked it, but the person whose opinion I hold higher than everybody's said, yeah, get back to work. So, but yeah, the cross genre thing, because I think we were the weird ones because pop fiction people had a lot of fun and creative nonfiction people, well, I'm not going to say they cried a lot. I'm just going to say that in all their workshop rooms, they had tissues on the table, every single one. And ours didn't have that. And a literary just like would sometimes get angry and call themselves non-popular fiction. And it just got kind of not terribly rude, but you could sense some friction between people. And but this
Mhm.
workshop was actually one where we left that behind and we're able to critique each other.
That's fantastic. I'm
But
kind of
this,
curious what this story was that Jim critiqued. I've had workshops with him too. Yes,
oh, okay.
he is tough. He's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. It was just about basically kids trying to, with the ravages of climate change, how kids start their own fads and stuff. I think it started with really sexy colors of sunscreen, and then it went
Hmm.
into Japanese Oendan cheerleading was involved as well. So it was weird.
Interesting.
It was very weird. So, but I'm okay with what he said. It helped. I have a lot of fears and hangups, but for some reason, like an actual workshop, not saying like people's reviews, but an actual workshop where someone says this doesn't work or this needs help or something, I'm okay with. It's weird.
Hmm.
But I am talking way too much about myself.
No, no,
Uh,
I know. I was gonna say I find that useful as well about workshops, and I think that the most the hardest workshops I've had have been the most useful, I would say,
yeah.
because even if I think that a thing isn't working, and I mean, rightfully so, like things that I workshop that the entire room told me wasn't working, I never sold. They
Mm-hmm.
influence things later, and they help me adjust my approach to things. And so there was some stories. I have this like series of stories that are about like kind of like modern like myths about gods. They're like weird slipstream surrealist god stories.
Ooh.
Um, but they didn't start out that way. They started out very on the nose about weird god stuff. And I got to like really those were my most difficult workshops, and I was never able to sell those until recently. But I think that like I wouldn't have gotten there without those workshops. I
Yeah.
just had to keep rethinking and rethinking and reapproaching the until I kind of like cracked the code of like, okay, well, or at least to me, how to do that thing that I was trying to do that just wasn't working in those other forms. You need to like get the hit first in order to
Mm-hmm.
like know how
Yeah.
to adjust. So yeah, I agree. I agree. It's not that workshops aren't like I haven't had a workshop that I felt bad after, but most of the time even if I feel like, oh yeah, that didn't go well, it's just useful. Like I can
Yeah.
I transmute it into like, okay, well, what can I do? What can I actually do about this stuff? And it's always helpful.
Yeah. Agreed. What would you tell to beginning writers right now? What you wish you had known, or what they should look out for that you perhaps may have not looked out
Hmm.
for?
I mean, this goes back to the question about like what do I struggle with
Mm-hmm.
now? I think that like patience, I think is a thing. Like I think consistency and persistence are more useful than um self-abuse. I'm just not gonna miss words about it. I think that a lot of writers, a lot of artists generally have like this like self-abuse approach to work where they're like, you must do this, and if you don't do this, you're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually became more consistently successful at completing things when I was just like, what is the thing you could do easily? How about doing that every day? Right? Like what's easy for you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that every day. Over that, like you must do the hard thing. Um, I think that overall, over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years, it will be a hard thing, right? But you don't have to do all the hard things all at once. You can space that out. Like I think about it as like if it takes me, let's say, 400 days to finish a novel, like completed revisions and all. Um, that's 400 different me's that showed up, right? And
Yeah.
that that takes a lot of pressure off it. Like I don't have to show up as those 400 people. Like I just show up as one day me and I do
Wow.
what I can and I move some things around. I add some things and then the next day me is going to back me up, right? Like and so I think reducing that pressure I think is super important. I think it stops that kind of like boom bust cycle that a lot of authors experience, or at least it did for me. Like
Right.
and then also like um that there's an extension of that is kind of counterintuitive. Um, manage success by not not being so grateful that you like overwork yourself. So like good things happen and opportunities come your way, but you have to kind of weigh. Like I was very prepared in my MFA for failure. I was like, things are not going to work out for me as a writer. I left the MFA thinking that. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be my life path. Like it's not gonna be my career, my day job. And weirdly, it did happen. And that's when I had problems because I was just like, I was so grateful that that was happening. I knew how hard it was to get to that stage, even for a period of time, a small period of time. And so I just said yes to everything. There was no discernment, right? Because I
Yeah.
was just like, this is going to go away. This is going to go away tomorrow. But what that ended up happening was it created this like very, I would say, like unhealthy relationship to the work, right? Like, um, give yourself some grace. If you're feeling like things are too much, give yourself room. Like I think that is it might go away. Some of those things might go away. Success is like kind of fickle, but I think you want to preserve your experience of working. You want to preserve the doing of the art, like enjoying it
Mm-hmm.
over not enjoying it and things are still happening and you're doing a lot of great stuff, but you hate it. Don't do it so that you hate it. Do it so that you continue to love it long term, like lifelong. I think that's more valuable.
Right.
Um, so yeah, those two things.
Well, the book is A Ruin Great and Free. I am going to be doing some giveaways in December, and I believe the full trilogy will be one of those prizes. So
Oh,
keep an
dope.
eye out, or you can go buy them now and support an author, which is awesome. Or just wait for me to support him and then you can win those books. Either way, just keep an
Thank
eye
you.
out because we're going to be giving away the trilogy. Cadwell, where can we find you online?
I'm on Instagram at Cadwell Turnbull. I'm on Blue Sky at Cadwell Turnbull Blue Sky Social or something. My website is cadwellturnbull.com. I have a YouTube channel that I would love more followers on. So please follow me on YouTube even if you don't watch any of my videos. I'm currently at like 320 followers, which is great. It's just like vloggy stuff for the most part. And so
So wait, what's your YouTube address?
it's it's Cadwell Turnbull.
Okay, just
It's
making
at Cadwell
sure.
Turnbull. Yep, yep. Um, so yeah, those are most of the places I'm at. I also have a Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook a ton.
Right. Great. And I'm Mer Lafferty. You can find my stuff at merverse.com. I sometimes get on social media. I need to do it more. I'm either Mighty Mer or Mighty Mer 2 on Instagram. That's the numeral 2. And it has to do with a Hotmail account that I can no longer access. And so I can't get Mighty Mer, the first one, back. So that's fun. But thank you, Valerie. The if you guys are interested in Cadwell's YouTube account, it is linked in the chat. But yeah, you can get the full episode of everything I put out and ad-free if you go to patreon.com/mightymer. And I'm going to be revamping some stuff and doing some exciting stuff this December with Patreon. So keep an eye out. And you can watch live on most Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be on twitch.tv/mightymer, and you can catch all of this live. And yeah, thank you, Cadwell. Thank you to chat for keeping us going, and you guys should be writing. All right, and that's the end of the show. I don't see anybody really on that I usually raid, so I guess we're just going to stop the stream here. But thank you so much, Cadwell. This has been great.
Thank you.
And thanks, folks. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Next week isn't Thanksgiving. Right. Okay. Yes, next week. Okay. All right.